Hello everyone, this video is taken from a mentored VFX Set Extensions course I'm teaching with CG Masters Academy. You can find out about the course in the description below. I hope you find this video really helpful. Okay, so first of all, if you just set your project to the Empower plant and open up the modeling workflow, you're welcome to follow along with this if you like. One of the things that I like to do when I'm modeling is use wireframe on shaded. So we're going to look at some edge face vert selection methods, and I'm going to make a case for like the fastest way to do some of this. So first of all, let's have a look at using the camera front, side and top view to be able to make selections. So imagine if I wanted to make a selection like this in order to add some detail to the model like that, for example. What's a quick way to do this? For me, the fastest way to do this would be to go into one of the front side views, go into face mode, select a portion of it, deselect it, go into the top view and do the same thing there. Then I would make my extrusion going down. Now sometimes you have this issue where the model, because there's some modeling history going on, the extrusion starts to go wrong slightly. We're not really talking about extrusion now, but while we're on the subject of extrusion, if I undo this, press W on the keyboard, and now it will respond as I'm expecting it to. Sometimes you have an issue with the polygon modeling history, and that affects how the extrusion then works. So let's have a look at some other face selection. Let's say I wanted to select this portion of the sphere here. Sometimes when you make that selection in the perspective view, let's say I wanted to do those three there, sometimes what happens is you start getting unwanted selection going on there. So I'm sure a lot of you know this already, but taking advantage of the front and side views, it just makes it a lot easier. Of course, selecting the object and pressing Control 1 on the keyboard to isolate it will also make this process a lot easier for making these selections. And then let's say you wanted to extrude the faces perhaps inwards, to add some detail like this. Now while we're looking at this, let's imagine I wanted to make this selection up here, and I wanted to basically select that whole portion there. Probably the fastest way to do this is going to be to go into the top view and drag select like that, go into the front view, Control minus select to just deselect the bottom section there, and then let's say you then wanted to add your additional detail coming up like this, for example. Another way to make quite fast selection, let's say you wanted to just select this interior here, right click, go to face, and if you hold down tab on the keyboard, that goes into this mode where you can basically make a selection based off of what you're seeing there, and it doesn't take anything from behind, which is quite useful. Let's try that again for this outside area here. So I'm going to left click just to select a face there, press tab and then left mouse button, start dragging, and I can make this circular selection quite easily. And let's extrude upwards with that there. Okay, so that can be quite another quite useful messaging using the tab. Perhaps we can just use this tab one again. Press tab. So let's go back into face mode. Press tab and then left click to start dragging. And then let's maybe we could extrude inwards or something like that to add that a bit of detail there. Okay, let's talk about edge loop functions now. If we select this sphere here, I'm going to press Control 1 on the keyboard to just isolate that. If I go into edge mode, double click on that, that's one way, probably the fastest way to select an edge before start performing some modeling on it. Another way of doing that is to select the edge, Control right click, go to edge loop utilities, and then go to edge loop. just to be clear, select it, Control right click, keep a right click held down, and then move towards the edge loop utilities. It goes into a different menu. Keep right click held down, and then you can then let go, and it will go to the edge loop. If you go to here, it will delete it, and here it will duplicate it. So that's selected. Let's say we want to delete it. Control right click and delete. The more often you use these, you can get really fast with them. Let's do the Control right click and edge loop and duplicate. So it's going to make an edge here and here, which can be quite useful as well. While we're on the subject of control right clicking on edges, for example, or even vertexes, if you select the options and control right click, there's loads and loads of different options in here, and I really recommend you experiment with them. Well, we're on edges at the moment, so let's just have a look at edges. Control right click. Let's say, for example, you might want to grow selection, so it might say like grow along the loop. That's going to give you a couple of more edges there. We're going to talk a bit more about growing selection a bit later, but control right click, just have a look at what all of these functions do. Like it can be really helpful if you spent like 10 minutes going through every single thing and understanding all of them. I mean, there are so many of them, sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming, but like if you do spend some time looking at all this, it will be really good. We're going to keep quite focused. So we've gone through edge loop select and delete. Let's go to edge ring select and delete now. So let's say I have like an edge here, and I want to select all of the edges going up this way. So one way to do that is to control right click, go to the edge ring utilities and to edge ring. So now I've got all of those edges selected there. Let's have a look at this. Control 1 to isolate this. Let's have a look somewhere else. I'm going to just add some. I'm going to add a few edges in here, just to show this a bit better. Actually, let's do it with. It's probably going to be better with this because edge rings, I want them to go all the way around the model. So let's come to this one here. Control 1 to isolate it. Imagine I wanted to get all of these edges here, for example. If I go into edge mode, imagine I wanted to get all of them, or like all of them, for example. So let's select an edge, go to Shift, right click, forgive me, select an edge, Control, right click, edge ring utilities, and you can go to edge ring like that. Other options are there, Control, right click. We can go to edge ring and split, which is putting quite nicely putting an edge loop in between there. Another way, Control right click, edge ring utilities, and going to edge ring and collapse. That can be quite a useful one. So it's collapsing this in on itself. So perhaps we could do it because I don't want to affect these windows here. So let's just do it on the side here, so we can look at it a bit more simply. So select the edge, Control right click, edge ring utilities, to edge ring and collapse. There we go. Let's say I wanted to do it somewhere else. Select it, Control right click, edge ring utilities, edge ring and collapse. That's going to be quite a useful one. If we go into face mode, I think we haven't quite covered all of this. If you select one face, you want to get all of the edge ring for the face. If you hold down, so select the face, left click, select the face, hold down Shift and double click the face next door, and it will select it. Let's say I want to get this one here. I left click, hold down Shift and double click left, and you've got the whole ring there, which is really useful. Another thing you might want to do is, and you probably may have guessed this already, is that if you in this mode, we've covered with the edges, selecting just a selected bit. Let's say you just wanted to extrude. Let's say you just wanted to get this whole front face here. Hold down Shift, select the face, hold down Shift, double click, and it gets you that row there, and then you could make your extrusion. So let's have a look at growing selection. If I select a face, or like even let's just say select one face to start off with to keep this simple. Hold down Shift and then click the greater than arrow. That allows you to expand the selection. hold down Shift and click the less than arrow, and that allows you to reduce the selection. That can be particularly useful, let's say, if you have you've selected a ring here and you want to make that selection bigger, so hold down Shift and then click greater than, and you're starting to select greater or smaller selections there before performing your next modeling operation. Let's have a little look at soft selection. Imagine you wanted some portion of this to come out in a sort of curved fashion. If you right click and click vertex and you press so we're on vertex selection now. If I select one of these vertexes here, to do soft selection you press B on the keyboard, and we're now in soft selection mode. If you want to make this selection area bigger or smaller, hold down B and then left click, hold down left click and then drag bigger and smaller, and this is going to be expanding the area of selection that is affected by that, so the amount of vertices that are going to move when you move this out. So you let go now, press W on the keyboard and move that out, and if we go back into shaded mode there, and you can see the effect that that's had there. Let's have a look at doing this somewhere else. Let's try here. Let's say I wanted to just select so you'll notice now that I'm still in the selection mode. If you press B again, it knocks out, goes back to the normal selection mode, so that's coming up. Just I'm now just dragging the one vertex. Selection mode is primarily for if you want to affect a number of vertices around it, so you press B on the keyboard and this is coming up like that, and now you can see all of these vertices around here are moving at the same time. Imagine you wanted to have more of them affected by that, so you press B, left click and then drag to the right to make it bigger, drag to the left to make it smaller to make it bigger, and now more of these vertices are going to be affected, and you can see the effect that that has there. Let's say I wanted to now make it a bit smaller, B, left click, drag to make it smaller, just to then now affect finally just that, to make a more of a sort of pointy section there. Okay, thank you for watching.